The zombie genre, which once triggered a massive wave of popularity in the film and television industry, has gradually faded from the screen as the zombie craze has subsided. From the Night of the Living Dead series that launched the genre in the last century, to Resident Evil and The Walking Dead that pushed it to its peak, followed by Train to Busan which took up the mantle for the new era of zombie films, the genre has now quietly exited the stage as it faces its decline. Spanning over 50 years of history, from the original Night of the Living Dead to modern Korean zombie films, the genre is currently in decline. Therefore, I will now rank zombie films from S to F. Resident Evil, the first installment, is the origin of the series. Alice is not overpowered yet, and the plot is tight and exciting. The laser scene, in particular, is absolutely traumatizing. And the ending, with Alice standing alone on the street after the zombie wave has swept through, as the camera pulls back and the classic music plays, it's iconic. I give it an S. Resident Evil, Apocalyptic is the pinnacle of the film series. It follows Alice as she emerges from the hive and arrives in a quarantined Raccoon City. This movie really captures the terror of the T-virus, proving that even a nuclear bomb cannot kill it. I give it an S. Resident Evil, Extinction marks the beginning of Alice becoming overpowered, and the plot starts to get boring. The horror atmosphere of the zombie genre shifts toward that of an American blockbuster. I give it a C. Resident Evil, Afterlife introduces many mutated zombies, such as the Executioner. The scene where she waits for the plane on the roof is particularly memorable. Alice's solo show and the large-scale spectacle are very cool. However, it still falls short of the atmosphere of the first two films in the series. I give it a B. Resident Evil, Retribution features the most characters from the original game, introducing Leon, Ada Wong, and others. However, the character depictions and the plot are not faithful enough to the source material, which led to backlash from fans of the games. I give it a B. Resident Evil, the final chapter has dark, murky visuals and is full of filler content, but fortunately, it provides a complete conclusion to the story, bringing the series to an end. I give it between a B and a C. Train to Busan is the gold standard for South Korean zombie films. After the Resident Evil series concluded, it took up the torch for the genre, introducing fast-moving zombies that made zombie movies feel more intense and adrenaline-fueled. However, it felt a bit like they were limited by the budget, as there were some filler moments in the middle. I give it a rating between S and A. Kingdom, Season 1, is a groundbreaking zombie series set in the ancient Joseon era. It inherits the fast-moving zombie mechanics from Train to Busan but adds its own unique twist. The zombies' behavior is dictated by temperature. I give it a rating between S and A. Kingdom, Season 2, has a much larger budget, leading to even more massive and spectacular zombie sequences. The lore establishes that the zombies are resurrected by a plant called the Resurrection Plant, and they thrive in cold temperatures, meaning they typically appear at night or throughout the day during winter. With the outbreak occurring within the royal palace of the Joseon dynasty, the atmosphere is incredibly immersive. I give it an S. All of Us Are Dead is another major entry in Korean zombie media, following the success of Train to Busan and Kingdom. Set within a high school, it features a fast-paced, tight narrative. However, the introduction of half-zombie superpowers in the later episodes makes it boring, much like the later installments of the Resident Evil series. I give it an A. Rampant is the first true historical zombie film, preceding Kingdom. However, the storytelling clearly doesn't hold up as well as Kingdom does. I give it a C. The Korean zombie film #Alive, which follows the protagonist as he hunkers down in his apartment complex, feels like a low-budget production. I give it a C. The Living Dead series is legendary. It goes without saying that it laid the foundation for every zombie movie that followed. I give it an S. I strongly recommend Dawn of the Dead. As for the genre's originator, Night of the Living Dead, it is quite dated since it is a black and white film, so watch it if that is your thing. The Walking Dead series, including the main show and its spin-offs like Fear the Walking Dead, marked the beginning of high-quality episodic zombie television. However, the quality of the writing fluctuates, sometimes it is incredible, and other times it completely falls apart. I give it a rating between S and A. World War Z is an action blockbuster wearing a zombie movie's skin. It is all about the spectacle, such as the classic scene where the zombies swarm the city walls, but it has almost zero horror atmosphere. I give it a B. Train to Busan. Peninsula is a garbage sequel that completely ruins the IP. It falls far short of the tension and brilliance of the first film. The whole movie is visually dark and murky, and even though all the characters from the first film died, there is absolutely no mention of what happened to them or the aftermath. The entire production feels cheap, boring, and subpar. I give it an F. Seoul Station, the prequel to Train to Busan, depicts the initial zombie outbreak in the Seoul area right before the events of the main movie. It is an animated film by the same director, but the art style is a bit odd, and the plot is somewhat sluggish. It doesn't quite measure up to the later work, Train to Busan. I give it a C. Kingdom, Ashen of the North, a spin-off of the Kingdom series, tells the story of Ashen, a woman from a tribe on the North Korean border who uses zombies to exact her revenge. The entire film feels almost like a silent movie, with very little actual zombie action. It is a work that purely tarnishes the reputation of the IP, so I give it an F. As for the rest, like Sweet Home and I Am Legend, the zombie settings in these films lean closer to Aliens, so they do not count as traditional zombie films and I will not rank them. So, what is your ranking of zombie films? Please feel free to leave your own ranking and recommendations in the comments section, and also mention any zombie films that I have not covered.